We brought the hood to the west side. Westside Radio.
Check it out, y'all. It's Julio G. Welcome back to Westside Radio. I always bring just incredible people in this room, and I'm just glad my man's in town. I wanted to talk to him for so long. Incredible producer, Butter, is in the house. Thank you for coming, Butter.
Man, my pleasure, bro.
And we go way back, Butter, because people don't know. We became friends through Fred Rec, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And then Butter used to have his instrumentals one day. I was at a studio one day with him, and you let me pick for my music beds.
Yeah.
So on 92.3 The Beat, when I was talking on the radio, the majority of the time when you guys were hearing me talk, it was over this guy's beats, and he gave me like a nice. I still have them to this day, and they're just incredible beats to talk to. Yeah, bro.
That's crazy.
So that's cool that we get to come back and just
this
full
is
circle.
Full circle. It's so nostalgic.
That's
real,
great.
Being
man.
on the radio, and you've transitioned and pivoted. I've transitioned and pivoted. I love it, man. It's good to see you, brother.
Yeah, man. It's good to see you too, man.
Yeah.
And I want to talk to you today because I know a lot of people may not know the name Butter because you're not like I say, like I was telling somebody earlier, you're not like out there like yelling your name out, but you've done some incredible records. That's why I wanted to talk to you because your discography is just crazy. But I always start the show by asking people the name.
Okay.
Butter, where did that come from and why did you choose that name?
Well, butter in Hebrew mean no, I'm just messing. No, butter actually came from my grandmother.
Okay.
She named me Butter, Butter, Montequilla.
Okay.
And when I got into the business, I was rolling with Butter, and there was somebody else with the name Butter, Butter.
Oh, okay.
So I was thinking of a way to change it.
Mm-hmm.
So I changed it to Bud', which is the cooler way.
Yeah,
know what I'm
for sure.
Yeah.
But how did you're originally from Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
right? How did you get to LA when we end up meeting up? How did you end up getting out to LA?
Sam Sneed.
So, oh, really?
Shout out Sam Sneed.
Okay.
Sam Sneed's from Pittsburgh also.
Okay.
I don't know if you...
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, for sure.
So Sam, I saw Sam at a club one time when he came back from LA, and he was like a superstar. He'd been out here with Dre and everything, so it was like crazy. He came back, he said, Bud, I'm about to do an album. I want you to come out and help me. I'm like, bet. But I took it with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, okay.
And how did you know him from Pittsburgh? He was already making music in Pittsburgh?
Yeah. I used to do beats in Pittsburgh. He had a couple things going on. He had a group called Rougher Than Most.
Okay.
And one of the guys that was part of the group, I used to do music for him. His name was Carl J, the Godfather. That's what they called him or whatnot. So that's how we met. And he knew I did music. So we saw each other, during that time. I think it was over Christmas or something. And he was like, I want you to come out. Mm-hmm. I moved to Atlanta from Pittsburgh, was in Atlanta, called home. My mom was like, Sam's trying to get in touch with you because, it wasn't cell phone days back then.
Yeah, for sure.
So he sent my mom a number. I called him back. He's like, it's time, man. I want you to come out. He was like, it's going to be 6 of us in a 2-bedroom, but if you want to come out, come out. I'm like, bet. So that's pretty much how it happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he was already working with Dre. So
he was already, that was right after, what soundtrack was that? Whatever soundtrack Recognize was on, it was around that time. The Natural Born Killer.
Oh, yeah.
All of that stuff was bubbling during that time. So it was after Snoop's album, and I can't remember what soundtrack it was, but it was like 95, into 95.
So you basically came to LA to work just with Sam Sneed. It wasn't like I'm coming to work with Ice Cube and all these guys that you started working with eventually, but it was just to work with him, huh?
Yeah.
How did you end up getting on Caution? Because that's one of my favorite records that you've done is Land of the Scandalous. I used to play that a lot on the radio, actually.
Yeah.
Was that your first placement that you had?
That was my very, very first placement.
How did you get that?
Sam Sneed, man.
Really?
Yeah, my brother Sam, because he was signed to Death Row, I always explain it like this. He would do with that incident or that situation, he did the Magic Johnson behind the back pass. So he was signed to Death Row, and he couldn't really, he was exclusive. So he wasn't out doing a whole bunch of stuff with other people.
Because he produced too.
Yeah, because he produced too.
Yeah, okay.
So I think that was, and I'm assuming this, but he might be able to validate it. He gave me that play. I was able to give them beats and stuff, and that's how it happened. And just one thing begat another. I laced them with a bunch of beats, and through them, that's how I end up, meeting Cube, and that's how the balls start rolling down the hill.
But how did you have that sound already in Pittsburgh, or is that something you developed as you came to the West?
Well,
and started like.
That's a good question. A little of both.
Okay.
You know, being in Pittsburgh, the way I always explain it, Pittsburgh is like, it's not quite East, not quite Midwest, but we listen to everything from MC8 to Ultramagnetic. Like, I mean, just a good mixture of all type of music.
Right.
So the way I always explain it is like, in being out here on the West Coast, of course, I wanted to impress. Well, I started with Caution, but once it came time for Cube, I'm like, man, what could I do that's just fire? And I just was thinking about, okay, what can I mix? You know, how can I mix genres in a sense? So in thinking about that, I'm like, okay, I love East Coast drums and drum patterns, but I love West Coast textures and melodies and sounds. So for the most part, what I did during that time, what I was experimenting with was mixing the two genres for the most part.
Okay.
So when you hear those early records, you know, Sam used to use drum loops a lot. And I was used to doing things by hand, kick, snare, hi-hat, you know, just in being a fan of Diamond D and Pete Rock and all of them, because that's how they used to do it. So I was a fan of that. So in programming the drums and then getting live instrumentations over top of it, that's kind of how that mixture came about. Yeah. You know, and I'm glad we end up doing it, because it, you know, end up.
Oh, it ended up going hard. Yeah. I wanted to ask you, like, you know, it seemed like Dre's sound kind of changed when he kind of got around you guys, because it did feel like that. And I was talking to the Glove, and I was asking about how it felt more spacey. Yeah. Where it was dun 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 dun. It wasn't so musical like in the early Dr. Dre. Yeah. Did that come from you guys, or is that a combination of all you guys at that time?
That's a good question. It got more choppy even after I shook. Okay. You know, after I shook, it got a little bit more staccato. Okay. What we was doing a lot of was coming up with finding great samples that had good melodies. It was very musical, especially during the Aftermath time. If you hear any of that, you know, and going back through that stuff, it was definitely really musical. We experimented with certain things that was choppy, like King T's record on there was definitely choppy. And we had a bunch of other ones that was the same way. But I think that sound kind of progressed even more so, you know, a little bit after I left.
Okay. How did you end up doing like all these different songs on Dr. Dre's Aftermath album? Because you're like on a lot of songs on there. And you had the main song, Been There, Done That, correct? Yeah. And you produced that record, right? Yeah. How did you end up like did he just gravitate towards you because he liked the beats, or how did that work?
I always say this when I'm talking to kids or inspiring anybody in doing what they do. Undercommit and over deliver. Okay. So undercommitting is just committing in general. It's admirable to do one thing, but when you over deliver, it's always going to be good. You know, you're overstocking the refrigerator to make sure the unhealthy person gets the good food.
Right. When did Dr. Dre hear Been There, Done That and said, I need that, but I got to do that. That's for me.
Yeah, it was during the time of Aftermath when we was creating songs, trying to come up with what the sound of the album would be. He hadn't quite had a single yet. And to be honest, it's a beat I did a beat at home, and me and Melman was going back and forth of what a hook could be for it. And we came in the next day, and I'm like, we was playing the beat and said the hook to him, and he was like, oh, that's it. I need that. And, you know, he put his touch on it, and we went from there. And that was, you know, Flex wrote the verses and stuff, and that was
it.
Flex
was killing at that time, too.
Oh, my
He wrote
goodness.
a lot of big records.
Yo, Flex is still, like, I utilize him with licensing stuff for these TV shows.
Wow.
Flex is still a monster, man.
Wow. I want to ask you, Butter, like, working with Dr. Dre and being in a room with him and working with him, like, what did you grab from that? And something that maybe you still use to this day. What did you learn working with him? Because he's the best that's ever done it to me. You know what I mean?
I'm very fortunate.
Especially sonically, on a sonic level.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. What I learned from Dre was, for the most part, taking something, a concept, whether it be a sample, and making it your own. Like, not everybody can do that, to be able to get an idea from somewhere and initially maybe having a sample in something and then omitting the sample and then crafting something that feels like the sample, giving the same feeling, but not being the sample, and then being able to make it yours. I think that and mixing on an SSL board was the two biggest things that I learned. And then also, utilizing live musicians. So saying that to say, learning what instruments are, and I challenge anybody that does music. You'll go a lot further when you learn, okay, this is an oboe. Okay, this is a lap steel. Okay, this is a distorted, this is a guitar with a crybaby wah-wah on it. Like, these is all things you got to know that I utilize today as it relates to production and creating, because of the fact that I can hear something and understand what it is. And that's another thing that I got from Dre, being able to pick out what things are and then be able to source the people or the instrument to sound what it needs to sound like. Yeah.
But for me, listening to your music, maybe you disguise it very well, but I didn't think that you were much of a sampler.
Yeah.
Or did you disguise it a lot? Because it just seemed like your stuff wasn't so much sampler, or was it?
It depends on what I was working on.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And like I said, after the Aftermath album and going through my college years, it's exciting to be able to understand that you have so many ways that you can exercise your creativity. It started with sampling and then putting bass lines around stuff. A lot of Westside Connection was like that. It was a sample, like that I used 9 Inch Nails, and I sampled that, put drums to it, did a bass line on the SP, put some keyboard sounds on it. It all started that way, but once you realize you can exercise your creativity so many more ways, it's just got exciting. And then it's like, once you start understanding the business aspect of it too, and it's like, I paid for a sample.
You don't want to sample so much. Yeah.
Like, I ain't trying to pay for a sample on there. So you start, and not everybody can do that. Yeah. Sometimes somebody will do something and they'll omit a sample, and it's like, ooh, that's whack. Like, that ain't sounding right. Yeah, that's not it. So I'm grateful for that gift. Yeah. I think it's a God-given gift to be able to hear that. And I credit Dr. Dre for showing by example and being able to be a fly on the wall in creative and utilizing people to get what he needs, the sound he needs out of it.
He's amazing. I wanted to ask you also about that, Butter. During that time, there was the death row going on with the aftermath. And how did you maneuver through that? Did you ever have any issues?
Oh, that was an interesting time.
It had to be, because it was like Dre would just left death row and he was on.
That was the transition.
That was it. That was basically it.
That was the transition.
Is it true? Before you answer that, I want to ask you: is it true that your beat is the one that's at the end of California Love on the video?
Yeah,
where it transitions into a different beat?
No, not the string beat. It was actually at the beginning. A lot of people get that mixed up. It's the dream sequence.
Oh, okay.
Where Chris Tucker was talking, and there was a beat playing in the beginning. And what's funny about that is that beat that's playing is the actual beat that Dre heard and was like, "What is that?" And he was like, "That's Butter's." And he was like, "Butter?" He couldn't kind of put it together. Flex said. Even though I was out there with Sam and all of us was out there, I don't know that Dre put 2 and 2 together. He might have knew I produced. I don't know what the case was, but Flex was writing to it. Okay. And he asked what it was, and that's the actual beat that made it to the California Love. He used it in the California Love video.
That's mind-blowing, bro. That must have felt great.
Crazy.
That must have felt crazy. It crazy.
Was crazy.
Because they were so hot at that time. It was like super hot.
Man.
Super hot. So
I feel
part
fortunate.
Of that. Yeah. To be a part of that must have been crazy. But so you never had no issues or nothing. You just had to kind of maneuver through the
God's
beef.
Grace, man. For real. Because in being in the muck of everything that was happening, I was able to definitely, I don't want to say fly under the radar, because it wasn't like I was ducking or nothing like that. But I was fortunate to not get caught up in stuff. You know what I mean?
One thing about you, though, Butter, is that you've always been very low-key. It's one thing I notice about you. You don't really want to be known on the records, or you don't have a tag. You didn't do the tag thing. It's just, you've always just made the music and that's it. You know what I mean? That's one thing I noticed about you.
Yeah.
You know, but that's why I'm glad you're on here today, because I think you've done some special records that people don't even know that you've done. I want to ask you about Westside Connection. You did Bow Down. You did one of my favorites, Gangster, the Killer, and the Dope Dealer.
Yeah.
Do You Like Criminals?
Mm-hmm.
Cross Them Out with a K.
3-time felon.
3-time felon.
Mm-hmm.
When you worked with Ice Cube, was that your first time working with him, like as a rapper?
Yeah.
Okay. How did you feel when you first heard Bow Down? Like when you gave him the beat to Bow Down and he came back and you sat in the studio and press record and you hear, "The world is mine, Nia, get back." It just, because that record is just out of here.
I get chills thinking about that, bro.
How did that feel?
I got chills right now. It was crazy. It was surreal.
Well, lyrically, when you're listening to it,
I had no idea where they was going. I mean, because, and think about it, I was new. When Caution even did their record, I was nowhere present. Like, I heard it once it came out. You know, Westside Connection was almost like that. There was times where I would go lay the beats down at Cube's crib and got to hear little stuff there, then and there. But, it's not like I was directing a whole bunch lyrically and everything. I was coming creatively as it relates to the music. So when it came out, the whole body of work, when it came out, I had no idea where it was going. I'm just like, oh.
So when you did these songs, you weren't like fully there. You kind of like dropped the beat off. He worked on it, and then somebody mixed it, and bow, it's out. And you're like, oh man, that's my beat.
Yeah.
And he killed this.
Crazy.
Because they all got busy on that record, that whole album, man.
And think about it. We on the West Coast. It was, I can only imagine, there's artists now, you think about, they not like us. That's like, when that came out, that was rolling like that, so it was like.
You had no idea what was going to come.
I had no idea.
Wow, that is mind blowing.
I had no, and think about it. I think Mustard even mentioned that he ain't know, like that beat got dropped off and he ain't know whatever, and it just came out.
You heard
He's
on
like,
the radio.
What?
Yeah, you heard.
So
on the radio.
I think great things happen like that.
I have to tell you that the Gangster, the Killer, and the Dope Dealer has to be a definitely top 10 street record for LA. I would say even top 5.
Yeah.
To be, that record hit so hard because of, the beginning when this is the beginning when we're talking about the 90s, everybody. So this is the beginning when you're hearing Sue.
Yeah, right off top.
And that was so gangster at the time.
Yeah.
That was like way past NWA level, dog. This is like coded, gangbang coded.
Yeah, to where if you know, you know. Once our relationship kind of, got more so into creating stuff, then I was able to, I was around for all of the process of that stuff. When we think about, Chrome and Paint.
Yeah, because I was saying you did
Chrome
and Paint, Greed. You did a lot of different records for Ice Cube. Ghetto Vet, one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites too.
That has to be one of my favorites that you've ever done. That and 3 Card Molly. You've also done 3 Card Molly. That's why I want people to know that your catalog, you've touched some incredible stuff. Working with Ice Cube, why do you think he's so good at why is he the best?
I think Cube is brilliant at being able to fit things where they're supposed to fit. Like, and wanting something to be successful, he picks what he's supposed to have. And I think he does that with everything,
How did you feel when you heard Ghetto Vet the first time?
Ghetto Vet, the first time?
This is by Ice Cube, everybody. I'm talking about Ghetto Vet. Yeah.
Well, I was there for the whole process. And that was actually the first time. I've never told anybody this too. That was the first time. So we laid the song. Cube left out for something. He was gone for a while, and I was cutting horns and stuff and adding extra stuff to the track. And he came back in. He was like, I ain't even gonna say it, but he was like, man, you killed this. He was like, oh my goodness. And it felt good, coming from Cube, from him, number one, but I had felt that way myself. Like, that record was just.
He gave you a lot to work with.
Man.
That record, that song
he's
is.
such a great storyteller. And to be able to paint a picture around that, it was just, all the dropouts and instruments. And there was actually even more instruments, Cube, sometimes he could be a minimalist to where it's like, okay, that's too much or this, that, and the other. So, but I'm glad where that plane landed because I think it came out perfect.
Yeah,
I agree.
You should be very proud of that record. That has to be.
I am. That's definitely one of my favorites. It really is, and he put the stamp on it too. So,
when you were working on all these records, Butter, what were you using? What was your equipment that you like? your favorite layout that you had that worked for you?
Early or after Aftermath?
I wouldn't say in the beginning when you first came to LA. How did you get on Caution? Dre?
Okay, yeah. Well, the only thing I was using was a SB1200, like a Mini Moog V, and that's pretty much. And I can't remember the keyboard because it would be different keyboards, but because I couldn't play then, and like we talked about earlier, you gotta, once you start dipping into something, and if it's something you really want to do, and you learn the craft, you get better and better at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the 95 me and the 2025 me is
Totally different.
night and day.
Yeah.
But saying that to say, and starting with the other thing I would say as it relates to how I started, a lot of times I have to kind of reel myself back, because I think in having little, it makes you actually more creative. Mm-hmm. You know, when you do what you got to do, because that's all you have, I think that adversity brings forth creativity.
Is there any song that you look back on and wish you would have, I wish I would have mixed that better, or I wish I would have done the snare different, or do you just let them go, but as, you know, that's what it is?
Let me think. No, I can't. I can't say that. I'm pretty happy with.
Do you like to mix your own records though? Or
yeah, yeah. Plus, what I used to do back in the days when I started using the like MPC 3000,
mm-hmm.
and definitely, you know, there was more sample time and all this other stuff. I was a stickler to where I didn't want an engineer to touch my stuff and mess it up. So what I used to do was I would tweak all the sounds and stuff on the SSL, put whatever reverbs on it, compressors, whatever I'm gonna do, and I would fly it back into the MP. I'd resequence it, so when it came time to mix, and I could still do this to any during that time frame when I was using my 3000, any of those joints that I pull up now from Cube on through like Aaliyah, I could pull up those sounds from the zip, and they sound exactly like the record.
Wow.
Because I had tweaked them beforehand. And then when we came time to mix, it was really just balancing, don't mess my balance up. You know, there might be a little bit of altering, but nothing really major.
Mm-hmm. What are you using today, Butter? Like
what am I not using?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm still using the MPC, but you know, as you know, it went digital, so I'm using the digital, you know, version of the MPC.
Okay.
But I've been utilizing different technologies now.
Okay.
You know, the stuff that we used to have to, the stuff that we wished that we can do.
Yeah.
Man, it's just crazy.
I want to ask you, Butter, also, you work with a lot of different people. How is it different working with a West Coast artist and working with an East Coast artist? I want to ask you about Onyx because you work with Onyx also, but is there a difference when it comes to the rap thing of it? It's the same.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, because I mean, I was fortunate to work with people that are passionate and talented, and I think that East West is the same mentality.
Okay, when you go in the studio, it feels just, I'm just going here to make this record.
It feels the same. You know, some studios are more packed than others.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for the most part, for me, my experience has been, a lot of it has been the same.
How did that Onyx record work? Because you did a record where this is early 50 Cent. This is before he got shot, a couple years before he got shot.
Yeah.
So this is like early. Were you there for that session?
I wasn't there for that session.
Okay.
I was there for that was React. The other song I was there for.
Mm-hmm.
React I wasn't. And that's interesting that you asked that.
That must have been crazy. Like after, some years later, he goes and sells 20 million albums.
I didn't even know until years later. And somebody said that was his first appearance on wax.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. It had to be.
Or on a video
early.
Or something. Yeah. It was a first. Some kind of first. So 50.
That's right.
And it's full circle, because now I've been working on 50 show on like BMF and Raising Canaan and all them shows. So it's like full circle. Yeah.
Another record that you did that I love very much is 3 Card Molly. Another one I played on the radio all the time on 9 O'Clock Bomb. That was like a go-to record. How did that come about, and how did you get with Xzibit?
That was like, and I needed that. That was beginning stages of the departure from Aftermath.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to ask X. I can't remember how we met.
But you got Xzibit, you got Razkaz, which is incredible on there, and then you got Saphir with that voice, rest in peace. And that whole record altogether, to me, is another one of those classic West Coast that I would say a hip-hop record in that way, because you got this is a lyrical record. How did that feel working with, or is that something you were there for that?
Yeah. I mean, anything after Aftermath, I mean, I got a lot of experience working with artists at Aftermath, seeing a lot of people come through and leave, and but after that point, it was, I was rolling in the canoe on my own. So I was able to be, in the forefront and be able to work with artists and experience all that whole thing outside of, the Aftermath four walls. And so 3 Card Molly, that's one of the records that I really remember vividly us recording. We was at Record One. I remember recording everybody's verses, and all of us being excited. Seagal was there. Seagal, he actually mixed that record.
Okay.
So I remember that record vividly, and we was all excited about it too.
Yeah, you work with some great people, and King T you work with also.
T-Love.
You've done some great records. I think that for people that don't know, King T's record, Thy Kingdom Come, is something that I always tell people to go listen to. I think that's one of the most slept on records in West Coast history.
Yeah, it really
honestly
is. It
has some monster records on it. You gave him some heat on there, bro.
Yeah, and to be honest, on some of them records they gave credit. I mean, because came out kind of bootleg at first.
It did, yeah.
And they was kind of giving credit to some of them records, that was records that I did.
Oh, okay.
So I can't remember how many records I end up doing on there, but it was a good amount.
Okay.
Some of them songs they said that Doc did, it was songs that I did. But, the internet, they move stuff around.
Yeah, because that record was floating around for a long time. It was kind of not out, and it was done. It was just not out. Because I remember listening to it with Fred, and I remember I heard the song with Shaquille O'Neal on it. That's the one you did. And I just thought the way you chopped that California Love, I just thought like, oh my God, Butter is just nuts. Let me ask you about a Snoop Dogg, because you've done another great record that I love with him, and Sugar Free and Silky Fine, right? Trust Me.
Yeah.
How did that one feel? Because Sugar Free is just... he's just in a space of his own. Yeah, I can't compare nobody to Sugar Free. He's just that unique. Yeah, coming out of the West Coast and just in general, But how was that situation working with Snoop?
It was incredible. It really was, because I hadn't had the opportunity to work with Snoop prior to that. And trying to think where we was. We ran into each other somewhere, and I told him I wanted to shoot him some beats. He found something he wanted, was able to do it. I remember being in the studio.
Smokey.
Man.
Contact high.
Well, you know how you asked the different question about the difference between like East Coast sessions, West Coast sessions or whatnot. So my brief funny story is I could think about it even being here. So say we at the B Room and Skip Sailors. We recording vocals and stuff. This is the SSL board. This is the end of the SSL board. I promise you, bro. I was on the edge of the board like this when we recording vocals. Behind me, if we turned around, there was 1 million people in the studio.
Yeah, that's how Snoop did it. Yeah.
It was smoky. It was 1 million people, and I was stuck to the board like this. But I'm so pleased with how that record came out. Everybody's verse was crazy.
It's crazy, bro.
And different. Sugar Free, my mouth was just
even that beat though. Even the beat, Butter, didn't sound like something you would do. It was something so, I don't know. I just didn't. When I first found out you did it, I was like, damn, that doesn't sound like a Butter beat. But you gave him something so just different.
He wanted something melodic, like Snoop. He loves old school. He loves melodies. He loves something that feels like is groovy, so I think that's one of the reasons he picked that record, and it started out one way, and then and me adding to it, I end up putting live strings and other stuff on there. I'm pleased with how that record turned out.
Yeah. And one thing I want to ask you also about Snoop is like it's really incredible to watch him, because he is always high. And you would think that a person like that doesn't get the work done, but he actually gets that work done, like even through that. Like, because I've been in different studio sessions with him, and I'm just watching him work, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, this guy, like, he's serious about this. This is like his life. Like, he like really dedicates himself while he's high.
Yeah.
It's really incredible to watch him work, seriously, because I've seen him do a couple records where I was like, wow. And you know, I gotta say, I was there at a studio session when I seen him do the song Pimp Slap.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And I remember hearing him do the first take of the verse.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't sound like much to me.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, this is cool. You know, but I'm in a room, you know what I mean? I'm smoking myself. It's okay, that's cool. I'm just here visiting, you know.
Right.
And then I heard him do the second thing and layer some other stuff on it and do a third.
Oh, his ad libs and stuff
everything.
was crazy.
And it just all came together.
It's a vibe.
And I said, damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I would have thought this was going nowhere.
Yeah.
And now this guy just layered it. He's amazing. I have to say that about Snoop Dogg. To watch him work and to understand, like you said, the backgrounds, the way he looks at it. It just sounds like a regular rap in the beginning. And all of a sudden he just layers it.
He sees all the other pieces around it. It's like a producer. You know how it is.
Absolutely.
You know, you could hear something and just know all the other parts you're going to put before somebody else does. And that ear candy.
Mm-hmm.
That ear candy is what takes it there.
Yeah. What's a session, Butter, that you've been in that it just worked? Like something that you walked into and it was magic. It was just like, wow, everything fell right into place. We got an incredible record.
The majority, to be honest, I believe the majority of the sessions like that, I was in work, especially back then, I was proactive. So I would come locked and loaded. Like I would be at home doing music. So that when I came, we just had a plethora of music. I was always like that. So, you know, to answer your question, you know, I had so much stuff stockpiled to where we was able to just get to the business and do it. To answer your other question, though, a song that I feel that just clicked from the very beginning, even in creating it at home, and then once we got in the studio and started adding sound effects and everything, was Greed,
Ice Cube.
Yeah, Greed was crazy.
Really?
Greed, yeah, I love that from the very beginning to us mixing it and adding sound effects and all that stuff. I really, that was definitely one that I thought that session clicked.
Well, when you're at home, do you ever trip out on like your plaques and say, damn, I done some, because you've been on, like, there's a lot of producers that produce music, but they're not able to tap into all these different artists that all happen to be really big. And you were very fortunate to be able to like jump in and catch this guy's wave and that guy. You caught a lot of different waves at one time. So that must feel good. I don't know. How do you feel when you look back on your plaques?
Yeah, it really does. And to be honest, when I think about it, I think about the fact that not only does it feel good, I think about the fact that I was able to capitalize on the game or the industry when it was good. I'm grateful to God that I didn't get jerked like a lot of people do, because there's stories I've heard, and there's friends that I know that, man, they was present during that time, and they're like, man, I never got royalties, or I never this, that, and the other. And I'm grateful to God that I didn't go through that.
But why not, Butter? Why didn't you go through that?
Not signing no paperwork without having somebody look at it.
Okay.
You know, only
and
time,
it is tricky, right? Because you have been in situations where I'm sure you had paperwork come back and be like, yo, bro, I'm not doing that.
I mean, Westside Connection to be one hundo, Westside Connection, and it's not Cube. It had nothing to do with Cube, but that got funny for a second. It got all fixed, but early on, I'm like, well, I didn't even know what publishing was.
Oh, okay.
You know, the moment there's a discrepancy in anything, the brakes get put on, and then everybody gets, you know, and it got figured out. But yet and still, that was a learning lesson for me early on. Like, okay, you can't just sign nothing.
Just going.
You gotta have somebody look at it. And I say this to anybody watching: get you an attorney, you know, and don't be shy to, you know, bring it up like, oh, I'm gonna let my attorney see this, you know.
But I want to ask you, your transition out of Aftermath, that happened because you wanted to do that, or it just started to just break its own way? Everybody started going their own ways.
For me, like I mentioned earlier, like I just creatively, I created so much music during that time, like, you know, and I just wanted to create more, and I wanted to be able to
branch out.
I wanted to be able to branch out. It wasn't nothing against Doc. It wasn't nothing against nothing there. That was a beautiful time. Yeah. You know, I just wanted to do more, you know, and when I explained it to him, he was cool with it.
He understands it. Yeah, of course.
And
a producer.
I think with anything, you know, if you ask to get put out of the nest, you better be able to fly.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And if somebody, if somebody says that they was flying and they had the nest going beforehand and they get thrown out and dropped, then, life, it shows what the real, pecking order was.
No, absolutely. From there, though, you move on into eventually working with Aaliyah. So you go work with Blackground.
I can only accredit it to God because the pieces of the puzzle's crazy. So the short story of Aaliyah, the lady who is my wife now, we were dating. We end up breaking up, right? I had I had my manager and a friend of mine set up a corporate apartment in Woodland Hills.
Okay.
They set me up a corporate apartment in Woodland Hills. I moved, and I come out of my apartment at one point, and Jomo Hankersham was my neighbor. And Jomo's like, we met before somewhere, and it's like, well, this, that, and the other. We talking. He's like, come past such and such. I said, yeah, you know how it happens. You be out, and it is what it is. But we happen to be neighbors.
Okay.
Go meet him. That's the story. Wow. We met.
Started working.
I hit him with music. He mentioned, they was at that point, they had just did a huge deal with Virgin, I think, something crazy. So they was like, so a couple different things. I'm fortunate, there's not too many people that could say that, in being involved and being a pivotal point for foundation of certain crews, like, to have a group picture with the Soul Kitchen for the most part, which was Dre and Aftermath, and then for us to construct the Aaliyah record, and you think about Tim and that whole crew, Dre and that whole crew, and being a pivotal part in both of those things at times, it was crazy, and everything happens for a reason.
And you're working around two of the best, because Timbaland, you got to give him that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is friendly competition is everything.
Yeah.
To be around certain folks, and like, my whole, I love friendly competition.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. We used to do that at the Math.
Yeah.
Love might be in a certain room.
Yeah.
I might be in a certain Stu's in a certain rooms, and it's like, it was friendly competition to hear that stuff. So it was the same thing there. I took that same concept there. Fortunate to do that, and out of bad comes good. So, to bring back the relationship thing, I broke up with who's my wife now, but we broke up. End up getting back together,
and it worked.
Flew to Australia, worked on Aaliyah together,
Wow.
created moments.
Wow.
I mean, it all worked out for good.
How was it working with her? Because she was so unique in her sound. I think a lot of people today, they nibble off her a lot. Like a lot of the R&B you hear today, the soft spoken, like the soft sound. A lot of people have used that style, but that was her. Because this is at the time I'm on the radio, so we were playing all her records, so I know her music very well.
Yeah.
It was nonstop. We had to play like her records all the time. She was like hot. Yeah. So, but she had such a unique. To me, she always stood out as her own, which is very difficult in R&B. You know what I mean? But you tell me, like, how was it working with her, and how did she come up with music and everything? How was it working with her?
It was a wonderful experience. And I think that she took direction well.
Okay.
And she took, I would put it that way. She took direction well.
Okay.
So
that was a gift that she had. That was a good. Oh
man, and not everybody has it.
Yeah, that's true.
She took direction well as during that season that I was there, and being fortunate to be able to work with her, there was other people that was around that were the best at what they did as well. So the team all together made everything what it was. People talk about music and think about, why don't music sound the same? Why can't we get another Earth, Wind, and Fire, or this, that, and the other? And I think about it, I was thinking about, man, well, the components to the puzzle ain't all there. Yeah. You had Maurice White, you had, all the different components of who was the best at what they did coming together made
mind-blowing music.
Yeah. It's mind-blowing.
Forever.
So with Aaliyah, it was the same way. Static Major, rest in peace. He would pencil stuff, him, Black, and Smokey. They was part of the group Player. And, I'd feed them music.
Wow.
Yeah, I feed them music as well as record music with other artists according to what it is that, the vibe that she was going for. But then on top of that, going left field.
Yeah.
Because, you never know, as I'm sure there's times I've played beats for artists and what I think is the business, it skips right past, and something I was going to skip on. Literally, I skipped it. Oh, wait, come back.
Yeah.
And it comes back to that. And, just being able to, that time period was it was amazing.
Yeah. Butter, do you think it's better to, when you're producing, to not put too much in the music for the artist to kind of have space?
I learned that lesson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not overdoing the beat early.
Yeah, I learned that lesson because I would overproduce it, but I learned that it's not bad to overproduce if you pull back.
Okay.
And then you have those little things to put in as candy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It makes, especially if you come from, I call them 8-bar producers, to where if it's something that's just 8 bars running, it could get boring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even if thinking about Ghetto Vet, Ghetto Vet was an 8-bar piano section, that was played, but yet and still that could get monotonous. It could keep going. But if it wasn't for, we even had flutes in there.
Yeah.
Flutes and horns and all type of stuff coming in and out, and breaks and, different
and then
stuff.
You change the drum patterns from time to time. So it
all makes a difference. It takes what's basic and broadens it out a little bit.
Is it what is the difference recording or like producing a rapper and then just producing R&B? Is it like a different mindset you have to go into?
Same mindset, but it's a different hat.
Okay.
You're listening for different things. I've definitely been fortunate to where all of the R&B people that I've worked with have been, man, Aaliyah
she was already popping.
She was already popping. Tank.
Yeah, he's incredible too, man.
Tank.
He's so talented. Great records.
Tank.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, man. Tank he would literally go in the studio and he would go in the booth on that first record. He would literally freestyle the record.
Really?
And freestyle the harmony. He would freestyle the lyrics, and then, let's take it back. He'd do the hook and all the harmonies and stuff. Voice flawless. So any of the R&B artists, Cy Smith, any of the R&B artists that I work with have been like, it's almost like it'd be hard to mess the cake up.
Yeah.
You have to put some salt on the cake.
Mess that up. Butter, let me ask you about this transition to TV, because you made a transition into a lot of different movies, TV. I mean, I'm not sure exactly, but I know you transitioned into that. Explain to me how that happened and why, because I don't think that people understand there's a lot of money in that.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit different than the music business, because I feel that they pay.
Yeah.
Like when they pay you, they're gonna pay you, right?
Yeah.
So music business, you gotta chase them around for your money a little bit. But TV and movies, it seems like they're more on point when it comes to the pay, because I've done some movies and stuff for TV myself, so I understand. I still get little residual checks for certain things. But you explain it for me, Butter. Like, how did you make that transition?
It started with a thought, honestly. I told my wife one time, I can't remember what the conversation was, and it didn't even go long. I was like, man, it'd be cool to do a cartoon at some point. That'd be cool. So, but that actually came to fruition. The creator of the Proud Family, Bruce Smith, shout out, he asked a good friend of mine that happened to be working for him, hey, you know how to get in touch with this guy? And that's before I was even composer mode, so that whole experience in doing the Proud Family cartoon as a composer was me jumping in the water, learning how to swim.
Yeah.
And that was, I think if it hadn't happened that way, with Bruce really coaching me through, like he was, and thinking about your work speaking for you, like he was a fan of like Westside Connection and stuff like that. So he was like, man, cross a mountain, put a K. He was like, and he's doing cartoons at Disney, like loving Westside Connection.
Wow. So,
it was, we can all, I always say this, like we can all have a platform. We could all have doors that crack open. TV and doing records are they're the same, because it's all music, but it's two whole different beasts.
It is, yeah.
I was fortunate to have done some of the things record-wise that opened the door for TV. But once you get in the door, you realize like, oh, you ain't got on your dress slacks. Like it was supposed to be business casual in here. And you got on your Chucks.
Yeah.
So saying that to say, Bruce was an advocate of holding my hand to where maybe try it this way, bud, or this, that, and the other. So I learned a lot during that process. So moving forward, I got the opportunity to, see about getting on Proud Family, and it happened. But I was thinking, man, for the amount of music I do for this show, I would do one song.
Right.
And it was like, far beyond what it takes to pull off creatively, financially, everything. It was hard to actually do that. But doing the hard thing, not even understanding, like, you get through this and be able to weather this storm and understand, like, the back end and all that stuff and how it works. And once I understood that, you're willing to take on a bunch of stuff. You're like, hey, give me 3 shows. I won't sleep ever.
No, for sure, man. That's why I say TV and film is a total different thing. Would you tell a producer, don't always just rely on making rap songs? You should try some other things.
Yeah, I think about creativity in general. I think about, like we talked about earlier, and I think that's why some people get pigeonholed at this time. I was an advocate of always, no matter where I am, like we talked about, looking for records. I like, I'm listening to everything. I wasn't one of them people stuck with like, oh, I got to find all soul records to sample, or I got to find all funk records, or I got to find, R&B records. Like I was digging in all type of stuff.
Like you did 9 Inch Nails. You used their sample for Gangster
Come on,
the Killer
man.
and the Dope Dealer. Nobody would have thought of doing that.
Or even smoke some weed. That was like from Asia. Like some homeboy brought me some music from Asia, and I was digging through it and
found that.
But saying that to say, subconsciously, me doing those things, and I tell anybody that's watching, allow your mind to be creative and don't watch other people. Don't emulate, because they're going to be the best they're going to be. So in digging through records and finding different sounds and listening to soundtracks and listen to lounge music and listen to polka, all that different things, it makes your mind start thinking different when you go to create. So even at this point, I can pull from all those places, even if I'm not sampling much anymore, especially with TV, but I can pick through my mind, okay, even a drum cadence that's different.
Last question, Butter. I want to ask you, if you went back, what would be something you would change? Nothing, huh? You were cool with the way it went down.
I wouldn't change not one thing.
Done it the same.
Yeah, because I believe the path I went down was narrow. If it was any wider, even an inch wider, I don't know where I'd be right now.
Wow.
I feel fortunate, and I wouldn't change a god-darn thing.
You've done incredible work. That's
in a country voice, a god-darn thing. Yeah.
Anybody that you've heard recently that you said, oh, man, that's a dope artist?
I like, what's his name? Lil Russell.
Lil Russell, yeah.
I like to do something with him. I like him. I like his spirit.
Yeah. I do too. I actually like, he brings this energy that we don't have in hip-hop.
Yeah.
And is missing.
Yeah.
And I wish there was more of him. Because that in the 90s, we had a balance still of like, yeah, you had some gangster records, yeah, but you had some fun records too. You had a lot of fun records too.
I miss that, bro.
Me too. I miss the fun records too. That's what he reminds me when he comes out. He's just always like real fun. Like this is fun.
Yeah.
And the beats are dope and everything he's rhyming about. His rap style is dope. It's just, I dig him too. So I'm a fan of him too, man.
Yeah, his whole vibe is dope.
Yeah, that's dope.
Reach out to me, Lil Russell.
Thank you, buddy, for coming. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you for having me, bro.
No, man, I've always wanted to have
an
interview with you because you, like I said, your work is incredible, and I don't think people know enough about who you are, you know what I mean? What the man behind the music that we hear, you know what I mean? So thank you for coming, buddy. We appreciate it, man.
My pleasure, bro.
Yeah. Where can they find you if they're looking for you, man?
All my socials are the same. Butterman1.
Okay.
BUDDAMANN1.
There you go.
Across every platform.
There you go. Thank you, Butter. Julio G, you know what it is, Westside Radio, and that's how we do it, man. Classic West Coast, baby. That's how we're doing it, man. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
We brought the hood to the west side. Westside Radio.